a court judge or a sheriff before we can carry a concealed firearm. And in a state like Texas, where we can't even carry a handgun openly, has to be concealed with their permission certificate. That's outrageous. The gun's to protect my life. They tell us, well, we got to keep guns from falling into the wrong hands. Well, where has that ever worked? District of Columbia had a gun ban. England has an almost total gun ban. They got gun bans in lots of places of the world. Have they licked crime? Last time I checked, where you have gun bans, you have more violent crime than where people are at least to some extent able to carry guns. And Vermont and Alaska and now Arizona require no permit whatsoever. You're able to carry openly or concealed anytime you want. That's the way to go. I really think that even as a gun issue, education needs to be on our agenda, because that's where there is so much brainwashing of kids. I was in the airport yesterday, and I was listening to a couple of 30-year-old, I think they were sisters, and one of the flight was coming down here, and then right next to it was like gate A and gate B, was going to Guadalajara. And this one lady said, "Is that in the United States?" Really? Somebody 30 years old doesn't even know where Guadalajara is? Living in this part of the country? I think that's pretty astounding. Naturally, they don't know what the First Amendment says. When Christine O'Donnell was challenged on that by Wolf Blitzer of CNN, and he said, American voters want to know. Her proper answer would have been right then to say, Wolf Blitzer, you don't know what American voters want to know, otherwise you'd have somebody looking at your program. But you don't have any ratings. Anyway, he asked her about something that got into the First Amendment, and she made the point that the separation of church and state is not in the First Amendment. The law students groaned because they know it's in the First Amendment. I'll tell you what, I have yet to talk to a lawyer who says that he ever read the Constitution when he took constitutional law. And that's why they didn't understand what Christine O'Donnell was saying. That's how bad it is in the schools. Well, if we don't know the First Amendment, guess what? We don't know what the Second Amendment is either. And they'll still be propounding in those classrooms that it's some sort of a collective right and that people can't be trusted with guns. Forget that the Supreme Court has sort of kind of started on a recognition that it's an individual right. That's not what's going to come down in the classrooms. And so when these kids come out to vote, not only will they not know where Guadalajara is, they're not going to know what their rights are. They'll think that their rights are right to a free meal, a free house, free medicine. Those are their rights, not the right to be free and to have the government limited to protecting that freedom. That's what it's supposed to do and nothing more. Well, we're going to see what happens in this new Congress. I know that the head of the Second Amendment caucus in the House is Representative Paul Brown from Athens, Georgia. And we were talking a few months ago, and he said, you know, if my party regains control of the House, I think I might just introduce a bill to repeal the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Now, that's something we need to get a vote on. That would be win, lose, or draw. A recorded vote would then give us a very important tool for the forthcoming elections. And hopefully we're going to see a lot of other bills to repeal a lot of other agencies in Washington, because it's hard to find any of them that fit within the 18 enumerated powers in Article 1, Section 8. And certainly gun control is not there. So any piece of federal gun law that they want to repeal is just fine with me. Not only do they not work, they certainly are not constitutional. Now, one of the things that I have been very encouraged about is the growth of willingness of states to interpose themselves between Washington and their own folks. The last time this was really tried in a significant way was in the